Hello again. Welcome to another edition of CropLife Retail Week. I'm Eric Sfiligoj, editor of CropLife and CropLife Iron magazines, here with my good friend Lara Sowinski. Laura, welcome.
Howdy, thank you.
Yeah, it's good to have you back on the program after a little break. I hope you enjoyed your time away and were able to settle in your new home there in Texas. So.
Yep, getting the goats and the pigs and the horses rounded up today. You know, they're putting them down for the nap and, making sure they're watching Barney. Oh, wait a minute.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm sure you will adjust to becoming a Texan, and it will be fun to watch the transition, I know, as we go through the year.
All righty.
All right. Well, hey, listen, I know you weren't able to join us, but last week I spent a good part of the week at the MAGIE trade show in Bloomington, Illinois, seeing lots of equipment. And I know I did a live report from the fairgrounds talking about some of my takeaways from that event with our good friend Richard Jones, who is also a co-host with me on this program once in a while. But just wanted to follow through on a promise I made to our viewers. I know I said that one of the things we did was hand out the ShowStopper Award to Horsch for their new self-propelled sprayer. And here is a video that I made with Peter Overbo, their marketing person, talking about that sprayer and winning the ShowStopper Award and some of the features that make it special. Hello, I'm Eric Sfiligoj, editor of CropLife Iron magazine, here at the 2022 MAGIE show at the Horsch booth with Peter Overbo, winner with the ShowStopper Award for this year. Peter, congratulations.
Thank you, Eric. It's a pleasure.
Pleasure. So if you could tell our viewers a little bit about how it feels to be the ShowStopper winner for 2022.
Yeah, absolutely. It's an incredible honor. When Horsch decided to bring over their Horsch Lead VL sprayer this year and debut it to the U.S. market, we definitely want to get the name out there in front of all the consumers, and we never really envisioned winning such a prestigious award, so it's a great honor, Eric.
Okay, well, this is the debut for the sprayer, which is behind us here. So if you could share with our viewers a little bit about some of the key features, the unique features that makes this sprayer so special. Sure. And why it's going to be important for the marketplace.
Great. Yeah, first off and foremost, Horsch Lieb has been a dominating factor in the self-propelled sprayer market in Europe for a number of years. So it was only natural that the next evolution was to come to North America. But they knew in doing so, the biggest challenge was to make a sprayer that met the needs and the desires of the North American producer. So they spent a lot of time designing it to meet a lot of the industry standards. Now, some of the key features to the sprayer that are pretty revolutionary in the industry is we have a cleaning system that is dedicated only to the freshwater system. So what we're doing is we're displacing any chemical that's in the entire product system. We have a recirculating boom, so we're really trying to eliminate all the deadheads in the pockets where product can build up and create problems later. And then we displace that water out through the boom, so that way we have as good of a cleaning process as can possibly be achieved on a sprayer. The other thing that we're offering is an adjustable hydraulic height. So we can go from having 63 inches of crop clearance underneath the machine all the way up to 80 inches of crop clearance. So it's pretty impressive there. Also, the boom control on this machine is two parts, both maintaining boom height accuracy as well as boom stability. So the system that goes behind that is all proprietary to Horsch. So we aren't using an off-the-shelf part trying to make something work. The boom control system for this machine is developed and designed specifically for this machine, and I feel like it provides a very superior result. So that's what Peter had to say about the new Horsch sprayer, the LEEB VL sprayer. I know that's a lot of initials to throw together, and they told me not to pronounce it as a word, so I'm not doing that. So, but anyhow, it was a very special piece of equipment, and I'm sure it'll have it'll gain lots of fans as we go through the year, and it gets shown to other folks at other trade shows all throughout the fall season. Well, Miss Laura, one thing I want to talk to you about, we did have some semi-big news. I guess this is sort of on the forward-looking front of the agricultural market.
Of course, everybody's been talking about herbicide-resistant weeds for forever. That's a persistent problem and getting worse. And I know folks have been looking for new ways to help growers control those stubborn weeds in their fields. And actually, we got an announcement this week. Our friends at Bayer are working on a new herbicide for soybeans that actually features the first new mode of action that the marketplace will be seeing in about 30 years. So they are right now looking at that product. They're trying to develop some seed traits to go with it. So they'll turn it into a cropping system, sort of like Roundup or Liberty are in the marketplace. No timetable yet on when this new herbicide will be launched to the market at large. But again, I know that there's going to be a lot of folks keeping an eye on this. And I can hardly wait to find out more about the mode of action. It'll be really interesting to find out what that actually ends up being.
Yeah, no, super big development. In fact, I have you to thank for turning me on to that news. And so right now it's a soybean exclusively. I mean, would this be something that would potentially be used for other crops, or what's your thinking on that?
Well, I was going to say, I know that there's a lot of folks that have dedicated herbicides for either soybean or corn or the cereal crops like wheat. But on occasion, then they'll be reformulated or readjusted slightly, and they'll be marketed to different row crops, versus what they were originally targeting. I imagine that since Bayer's saying they're going to turn this into a cropping system, that they probably wouldn't do it for a single crop. So down the line, and again, there's no timetable yet when this will hit market, but I'm sure down the line, maybe by the end of this decade, perhaps we will see an expansion of this herbicide, depending on what the mode of action is for other crops besides soybean.
Great. Big news indeed.
Yeah. And some other big news to share. I know that on videos past, we've been talking a lot about the Russian-Ukrainian conflict. And I know early on, back in February, when that first started, there was a lot of the speculation that food shortages might be the result because the Ukraine produces quite a bit of wheat and corn for the world. But I'm happy to report that through the efforts of the United Nations and Turkey, that there was an agreement reached a little while back where ships were now going to be able to leave Ukraine, being loaded down with grains from the country. And, we found out this week that according to the Ukrainian agricultural minister, 33 shiploads of grain have left so far. About 3 million metric tons worth of wheat has been shipped out. And it looks like there's another 18 more shiploads ready to be loaded as we're doing this video. So again, the bottom line is it seems like this will be a very good year for the Ukrainian wheat harvest. And, we'll see we'll see how it goes. But I mean, again, they were talking about possible shortages, and it doesn't look like that's going to be the case, at least from the Ukrainian side of the equation.
Right. Yeah, certainly a positive and welcomed announcement. I read the UN had an announcement on this so-called Black Sea deal, is what they're calling it. And yeah, it should support about 1 million tons of grain, which is great. Honestly, as you mentioned, I mean, we've been talking about this for a while, and kind of a little concerned, but hopeful that other, for instance, the US, picking up some of the slack, because a lot of Ukrainian wheat goes to Eastern Europe and Africa, elsewhere, and obviously a big disruption. So, where is that grain going to come from? So this is, really, I was happy to hear it, especially because, and maybe you can comment on this a bit, trying to follow some of the wet weather and the impact on US production right now. And it looks like maybe with what the US was thinking to export may not be, may fall short of that because of wet weather, not such favorable wet weather in the Midwest. Anything new on that you're hearing?
There is, but I'm gonna hold off a moment, and you'll understand when we get to the end of the video why I'm holding off. So, but again, I know you, before we got on, you had said that you had perhaps some news to share with our viewers as well regarding the ports there out in California, I believe, correct?
Yeah, US West Coast ports, 29 all told, stretching from Washington all the way to San Diego. The ILWU, International Longshore and Warehouse Union, contract negotiations are underway. They got underway in May. And this year, they said, okay, everyone in the spirit of, let's not add to the supply chain pain that's out there. We're going to try and everyone do our best, putting our best foot forward and try and reach a deal with the waterfront employers. That would be the terminal operators and the shipping line. So those two sides, the longshoremen and the shipping lines and terminals, are trying to negotiate this deal. Things looked pretty promising for a while, and in fact, late July, they came to an agreement over some health benefits as part of the contract. So that was good. But then last week or so, kind of ran into a little snag. There's a dispute at the Port of Seattle that now these two sides, the longshoremen, are not wanting to move forward on the negotiations until this Port of Seattle issue is resolved. And that has to do with one of the terminals there at the port. The longshoreman wants the Port of Seattle to hire ILWU workers. The Port of Seattle says, well, our hands are tied under a previous agreement. We have to hire another union worker. So unfortunately, these talks now, very important talks, have stalled.
Yeah.
Again, like we really don't need a slowdown or a strike or anything, but unfortunately, right now things don't look super good. So it's kind of one of those things. Day to day. I know a lot of folks have been trying to divert shipments to the East Coast. East Coast ports are backed up just like the West Coast ports have been for months. So trade volumes are up, but they're just, we cannot process and facilitate this cargo. So it's tough out there. So hopefully these talks don't add to the pain, but we'll see. That's
well, yeah, obviously we'll have to have our viewers stay tuned for future videos to as developments progress. We will keep you on the loop on that.
Yep.
All right. Well, thanks for that, Laura. Well, again, you're on. So time for your favorite segment, everyone's favorite segment. Time for fun with numbers.
It's worth it just to hear you announce that,
Now, again, the way the graphic is, I know it's approximately how many seconds I have to fill to talk over that graphic of the numbers rolling by. So, all right. Well, here is your number for this week. And again, hopefully been paying attention, because the number will tie back to something we've talked about. So
okay.
The number is 98%.
Okay.
All right. So is that A, percentage of wheat harvested so far in the Ukraine? Is it B, the percentage of U.S. corn growers currently dealing with drought conditions? Is it C, the percentage of ShowStopper Award winners over the last 15 years that have been sprayers? Or is it D, the percentage increase in my gasoline costs driving to MAGIE this year versus last year?
Well, that's pretty darn easy, Eric. I'd go for D. No, wait. Let me see.
98. So it's a pretty high number. Keep that in mind.
That is a high number. I'm going to go with A.
You are correct. Yes, indeed. According to the Ukrainian agricultural folks, that country so far has harvested 98% of its wheat, and that equates to 18.8 million tons. So things are going well there. And the reason I deferred, of course, you mentioned about weather. According to what I found online, about half the corn growers in the U.S. right now are dealing with drought conditions in their states. So that's not good. And ShowStopper Award winners, 14 of the 15 have been sprayers. So that's a 93%.
Oh, wow.
And then if my math is right, my gas costs were about 43% higher this year than last year for MAGIE. So, but congratulations, you did get the correct answer.
Thank you. Did I get that big stuffed animal so I could, walk around the fairgrounds and?
One of these days I need to go on Amazon and buy some of those carnival stuffed critters and start giving them away for correct answers. I haven't done it yet, though.
All right. Okay.
There's a possibility. So. All right. Well, Laura, thanks for joining us this week. Everybody, we appreciate it. And I'm Eric Sfiligoj on behalf of myself and Lara Sowinski. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you again soon. If you have questions or comments about today's episode of Retail Week, contact us by email or Twitter, or type your message in the comment section below. Your feedback is important to us. We will try our best to address your thoughts in next week's episode, and be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel.